India isn't backing down, not from oil deals, not from pressure, and certainly not from Donald Trump. On Tuesday, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval landed in Moscow officially to boost defense and energy ties. But his visit now carries a far deeper geopolitical weight. Why? Because on the very same day, President Trump's personal foreign envoy, Steve Witkoff, also arrived in the Russian capital. Coincidence? Not likely. Trump's been on a warpath. Just hours before Doval's touchdown, the US president threatened to sharply hike tariffs on Indian imports, blaming New Delhi for continuing oil trade with Russia. He told CNBC, India has not been a good trading partner. I think I'm going to raise that tariff very substantially over the next 24 hours. This isn't just economic strong-arming. It's diplomacy wrapped in threat aimed at pushing Russia to the peace table, and Trump may be using India and China as leverage to force Putin's hand on Ukraine. Doval's visit, though planned in advance, comes at a strategically explosive moment. Officially, he is there for closed-door meetings on defense cooperation, counter-terrorism, and energy security. Reports suggest that India is eyeing more S-400 air defense systems and even considering a deal for Russia's Su-57 stealth fighter jets, the same systems that played a key role in India's Operation Sindoor against Pakistan. Russian news agency TASS confirmed that Doval's visit would also discuss geopolitical escalation and, crucially, Russian oil supplies. It's clear India is doubling down on its relationship with Russia. Trump doesn't like it, but Doval made one thing obvious just by being in Moscow. India will decide its foreign policy on its own terms and not at the behest of the White House. Enter Steve Witkoff. Trump's confidant and special envoy landed in Moscow barely 24 hours after Doval. His arrival wasn't just symbolic, it was strategic. Witkoff is there to deliver Trump's latest ultimatum. Either Russia agrees to a Ukraine ceasefire by Friday, or Trump will unleash a fresh wave of sanctions on Russia and potentially on countries that help fund Moscow's war machine, namely India and China. The stakes are high, and this time Witkoff isn't coming with open arms. Sources say Trump is increasingly frustrated with Putin's lack of movement on Ukraine. The April meeting between Witkoff and Putin yielded nothing. Since then, Russia has stepped up its attacks on Ukrainian cities, making peace look even more distant. Putin still demands control over Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson. He wants Ukraine's military shrunk, and he's not giving up easily. Meanwhile, Trump has given Putin until Friday to agree to a deal. If not, voters will act, and hard. The options on the table are new sanctions on Russia's economy, though this may have limited impact as trade has already slowed to a trickle. Secondary tariffs on countries buying Russian energy, a move that could squeeze India and China and hit Moscow where it hurts, which is oil revenue. Trump isn't just talking tough. Last week, he repositioned 2 US nuclear submarines, which is a not-so-subtle signal to Kremlin. The trigger? Fiery remarks by ex-President Dmitry Medvedev, who threatened global consequences if Russia faced more Western pressure. India for now seems unbothered. Doval's presence in Moscow is itself a message. India won't be bullied into walking away from its strategic partner. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is also expected in Moscow later this month, underscoring just how seriously India values this legacy relationship. But Trump's threat of secondary tariffs could change the calculus. For India and China, continued oil trade with Russia may soon come with a steep, very steep price tag. So is Trump using them as pawns, or is he hoping they will pressure Putin from the inside? Either way, the US president appears to be playing a risky multi-country chess game, hoping it forces Moscow into peace talks. So what now? Well, a lot depends on what Virov hears in Moscow and whether Putin budges. If Russia offers no concession by Friday, Boris's wrath could turn global. Sanctions, tariffs, and diplomatic chill. Meanwhile, India is walking a tightrope. It wants to maintain strategic autonomy, energy security, and strong defense ties with Russia. But it also knows that a trade war with the United States of America could hurt its economy, especially if secondary sanctions start to bite. As Doval and Virov navigate their parallel visits, one thing is clear: the next 72 hours could reshape the future of Ukraine war and redraw global alliances in ways we haven't seen since the Cold War.